Hey everybody, this is my 10-gallon quarantine tank that I have in the old shower stall in my basement near my fish room. And for those of you who follow along, you'll probably notice that nice bright new LED hanging there on the left. I'm still combating the white water mold that is actually a fungus. I stripped the tank down again the other day and I cleaned it out and sterilized it as best I could. I worked with the media and the filter so that didn't get sterilized so that the cycle is still good. I'm not going to go into a big explanation about trying to fight that white water mold again, but if you're wondering, that's what that new LED is all about. I wound up getting two of them. We'll see the other one in just a minute here. They were on clearance and it's only a 10-watt LED. But it's a really nice light, actually. It's hard to tell on camera here, but it's a 3000K, so it's nice and soft. But it's really bright and really intense, and I'm hoping it will be enough light really close to the filter like that it'll keep that white water mold at bay now that I've sort of beaten it back again. However, the point of this video is going to be more about the white material you can see at the bottom of the tank there. That is what I'm now experimenting with to see how it affects my water hardness and whether or not it raises my pH. I'm trying to add a little bit of calcium to my water without really shifting the hardness or the pH very much, and I decided on trying this product that is not made for aquariums. It's actually made for poultry. And it is poultry grit. It is a combination of oyster shells and crushed up coral. So it's not aragonite. I wanted oyster shells because they dissolve very slowly. And then I wanted crushed coral because while that dissolves a little faster, it doesn't really jack your pH up the way aragonite does. And I couldn't find any aquarium product with crushed coral in it that didn't brag about the fact that it also had aragonite, or that's what it was made out of, or whatever. This stuff, as far as I understand it, does not have aragonite. It's just basic crushed coral, and it's mixed with the oyster shells. So it should be doing a pretty good job of adding some calcium to my water without jacking the pH or the hardness through the roof. Now, I haven't checked the hardness yet today, but I have taken a pH sample, and I've got both the water here in the tank, and then if you'll notice, I've got a little cup right there. That's some of my tap water that I poured out at the same time I filled this tank up. So we took initial pH readings, not in this video or anything, but I myself took some initial pH readings the other day, and I set that there so that we'd have something to compare it to see how much the pH has shifted since I initially put it in the tank. So let me put you on pause here for half a second. And this is what we've got. So if you look at the pH to the far left, that color blue, this came out of, and I know it's really hard to tell under this light, this gives you a much better idea of how soft that light looks, because I've got the other one hanging right here, and it is keeping my buckets and buckets of plants alive. So, as I've been saying, if you're interested in buying any water sprite or Java fern, I've probably got a few little other odds and ends in there. You never know what you might get tossed in there. My email will be down below. Contact me and we can talk about getting you some plants. In the meantime, that's my tap water that was sitting in the little measuring cup we just saw. Let me set that down. It's hard. I'm doing this while looking in my camera rather than at the actual vials. That is the tank currently. So it is, to me, I don't know, can you see a difference? Because I can't. I think I do for a moment, and then when I hold them up side by side, it suddenly looks like there's no difference whatsoever. So both of them sitting next to the little chart here come out at 7.6. That's what that blue shade most closely represents on this chart. However, when you use the high range, it does not come out as quite orange enough to be 7.4. So this says it's under 7.4, and this one says it's somewhere between 7.2 and 7.6. So I've never really known exactly how to categorize that. I've been told to think about that as being 7.3, which is kind of like neutral in certain disciplines, I'll say, not necessarily in the fish world, but in the water hardness and the water treatment industry, they're trying to get 7.3 to be the new neutral. I'm not quite sure what they mean by that, but I did have a discussion with my water guy about that. So he's one of the people, and in addition to some fish keepers that have told me that when you've got this sort of in between, consider that 7.3, which is more or less sort of neutral-ish, and it's close enough to neutral that I'm happy with it. So, like I've said before, if my water hardness comes up just a bit because of this oyster shell and coral that's in there, that poultry grit, I'm not worried about a couple of degrees hardness or a little bit of a rise in pH, as long as it's not a huge spike and it doesn't happen too quickly. We should be good. So far so good. My preliminary tests are making me happy, and I've actually gone so far as to sprinkle a little bit of that stuff in a couple of my tanks upstairs. But we can talk about that later, so you don't have to sit here and look at some colored vials any longer. So thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss anything I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be with me. I've always got something going on, and if you're subscribed, you won't miss any of that. So thanks again, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.